Face coverings will become mandatory in shops across England from next week, with fines of up to £100 for those who fail to comply.
So the move comes after the government was criticised for a lack of clarity on whether people should be compelled to wear them. And we're joined now by Mayor of London Sadiq Khan, who has been advocating wearing face masks and says the mixed messages are a disgrace. Now, you're not wearing one, as you're talking to me this morning. Is that because you're inside and you're social distance? Because you yourself have received some flack, maybe unfairly, because you've been pictured not wearing one at some times and yet advocating wearing them at other times.
Good morning, Kate. So I'm at home now in South London. I think your colleague Piers Morgan criticised me because on Friday I was at Applebee's in Borough Market, outdoors, socially distancing more than 2 meters from the journalist who teased me for making sure I was 2 meters from him. And I was there to promote the importance of Borough Market and people safely returning to Borough Market and other places. But I was socially distancing, and I was actually there to promote the wearing of face coverings in shops and indoor confined spaces where it's not possible to keep your social distance. And this one small thing, in addition to other measures, can make a big difference in reducing the spread of the virus.
I suppose what I'm trying to say is it's easy for people, you, others, to knock the government with confusion, but there has been confusion. And once you say you're clear, you've got to be clear. So have you always worn a mask in a situation where you're advocating others too?
Yes, I've been quite clear. When you're indoors and you can't keep your social distance, think of a shop or a supermarket. You should wear a face covering, and I've tried to do that when I over the last 3 and a bit months. I first wrote to the government about this in the first week of April. It was only last month the government finally moved and made it compulsory on public transport, and I straight away again started lobbying the government to extend that to shops, supermarkets, elsewhere indoors. Clearly, it's not practical in pubs, bars and restaurants to wear a face covering because you're eating or drinking. And the reason why I've been clear about this for some time now is the evidence from around the world, the Germanys, the Austrias, the Spains, the Portugals, the Far East, but also the scientific and medical evidence from the British Medical Association, the Royal Society, the World Health Organization. So it's not party politics. What I'm saying is, in addition to the other things, this can make you safe. And my criticism is the mixed messages and confused communications. In a crisis, you do need clarity of messaging.
Yeah. Have you been to... I know that the last time you were with us, I think back in June, you were calling for more Cobra meetings. Have there been any more Cobra meetings, Sadiq Khan? And when was the last time you spoke to the Prime Minister?
No, I'm really pleased you've raised this. So Cobra, for those that aren't aware, is a forum where the Prime Minister chairs a meeting with experts and politicians, the leaders of Scotland, Wales, and clearly the Mayor of the capital city. The last one we had was on the 10th of May. And one of my concerns is that's led to some poor decision-making because some of the decisions and policy the Prime Minister has can't be properly tested in a private space where there can be candour. And that leads to group thinking, which I think has led to some poor decision-making from the beginning, Ben, from when to go to lockdown, stopping testing, not having enough personal protective equipment, not having a trace isolate system in place, not making sure our social care places are looked after.
So we're having a few problems with your signal, but we're going to stick with it, Sadiq, if we can. Sorry, we're just having a few problems with your signal. We'll make sure someone controls that. Can we just double-check? You haven't spoken to the Prime Minister personally since the 10th of May? No, and I've written to him on a number of occasions lobbying on issues like this, but no. And my concern isn't because of vanity. It's I'm the mayor of a city with more than 9 million people.
That is extraordinary. Why do you think it is?
I think it's for the Prime Minister to explain why that is. I'm hoping it's not because he's playing petty party politics. I put aside party difference to work together with the government, as indeed Nicola Sturgeon from Scotland and Mark Drakeford had. Our population is greater than Scotland and Wales put together and some. but also we've got 4 airports serving our city. We've got the Eurostar serving our city. We contribute between 1/4 and 1/3 of our country's wealth. And if the government is keen for a recovery to be successful, they've really got to be working with us, because it's got to be a team effort.
And is it just you, or is there anybody involved in the running of London that he's not in communication with? Because that is extraordinary in terms of actually implementing some of the things.
But also, I mean, he's a former mayor himself of London. He understands the importance of that role, and clearly the importance of direct lines of communication with whoever is the Prime Minister or leading the country.
Yeah, my concern going forward, Ben and Kate, is if it is the case that there is a need, heaven forbid, for a local lockdown in a part of London, there's no clarity being provided about the powers or resources we would need to do so. Yeah. I think we'd be able to lock down a factory if needed, or a school or a place of worship. We haven't got the powers or resources or clarity what we would do if we were concerned about a geographical area, unless there is a case study in how to do things badly as far as the government's concerned. So there are practical reasons, not least, face coverings, local lockdown, but also the recovery, why I'm imploring the government, put aside our party differences, let's work together to make sure we can get a grip on this virus.
Yeah, undoubtedly.
Do you feel that the police have got enough resources to, police the wearing of face masks come next Friday? Because that's what the government is saying. It's going to be the police responsibility to issue those fines.
On that, the good news is I think the British public, by and large, has been fantastic. In London, I can tell you, because of the monumental sacrifices made by Londoners, the infection rate, and touch wood, is down, and the R number is down. On public transport, actually, we've had to issue very few fines, only 59, but a combination of British Transport Police and our TfL enforcement officers have encouraged people to wear face coverings. And the good news is, during rush hour, more than 90% of commuters are wearing face coverings. I'm hoping the police won't be required to issue lots of fines. I'm hoping customers will realise me wearing a face mask makes you safe, you wearing a face mask makes me safe. And that sort of solidarity, in addition to the other measures, will hopefully help us get a grip of this awful virus.
And can you just a word for, because we've had a lot of concerned viewers this morning that maybe have respiratory conditions or they have children. One of our viewers has a son that is autistic and says he will really struggle to wear a face mask. If we're out and about and people see us without face masks, then that can cause problems. You yourself has had some unfair criticism for not wearing a face mask, and suddenly this focus becomes on whether people are or aren't wearing face masks. It can escalate, can't it?
Tensions.
That can build those tensions, and everybody's already feeling quite tense.
Yeah, what we absolutely mustn't have is people taking the law into their own hands. So whether it's on public transport, please let a member of staff know. If it's in a shop, please let the retailers know. What we don't want is unfair peer pressure where it's unjustified. For example, children under 11, people with breathing problems, people who may have some mental health issues. And so it's really important that we are respectful of the reason why it's not 100% wearing face coverings. But around the world, not just in Scotland, in Germany, Austria, Spain, elsewhere, there haven't been the sort of problems people are worried about. So what I'd say to your viewers is, don't be alarmed at this new rule. In fact, I wish it was being brought in today rather than next Friday. Yeah. This will help all of us be safer and could prevent a second wave that could have led to a second lockdown, which none of us wants.